Okay, remember, folks, you guys are watching The Huddle. I am Ethan Diamandas. He is UFC commentator Jon Anik. Let's get to the main event, flyweight championship. Alexandre Pantoja, minus 250 favorite versus Kai Asakura, promotional newcomer, plus 200 underdog. John, I'm going to need you to fill me in on Asakura. We know he was the Ryzen champ at bantamweight, but what other details should we know? I mean, I know he's got a cool style. He throws some big knees. He's not a rookie by any means, but what should we know about Kai Asakura?
Outstanding striker. And if you get hit by this man with really any of his limbs, he mixes up his punches and his knees and his kicks beautifully. The results are oftentimes perilous. Lot of experience, high-level championship experience, big wins against names you've heard of like Manel Kape and Kyoji Horiguchi. He is a jiu-jitsu purple belt, but that would appear to be the path of most resistance for Kai Asakura in this fight against Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja's never been finished. He's a gifted striker in his own right, but I got to think for Pantoja, you are trying to get this to be a ground fight at all costs just because of how explosive and athletic Kai Asakura is on the feet. They chronicled a fascinating story on the UFC 310 countdown of Asakura and his brother just going at it in the streets, and Asakura's older brother literally trying to take his younger brother's head off. And that was really the jumping off point for Kai Asakura having a career in mixed martial arts. Head movement and defense was on point in that crazy street setting against his brother. And he's gone on to realize world championship level success. Now we'll see how his game translates in the UFC as he tries to become the first Japanese born champion in UFC history, but he deserves the opportunity. And he's got a huge following, not unlike an Ilia Topuria, so that if he does wrest the belt away from Alexandre Pantoja, it stands to reason that he could be a massive, massive global superstar. But this 2024 version of Alexandre Pantoja, in my humble opinion, is unlike anything he has seen in an enclosed MMA space. So we'll see how it goes. Pantoja near 3-1 on the favorite price right now. We'll see what Asakura has. You know, those bright lights of the octagon hit different. As a non-athlete, I hate to lean too much into the jitters, but this is a walk really unlike anything Kai Asakura has experienced before. I know he's got a lot of experience, but none of it has come in this big show.
Yeah, no doubt. He should be the underdog in this fight, noting how much Pantoja has accomplished. Asakura and his brother banging it out in the streets sounds like Jason and Jon Anik, regular childhood come up.
Well, it's interesting because when I was watching these guys, and I'm glad you made the connection, I was thinking about if and when I do compete against Jay, I don't think that I would be throwing shots with fatal implications, right? Like I couldn't believe how hard these boys were throwing. So I'm not suggesting that I would go soft on Jay, but I'm going to mix up the levels, attack the body. I'd much rather get him out of there with a liver shot than see him twitching on the canvas, Ethan.
Yeah, you got to throw the John Jones spinning body kick.
Not in my arsenal. Not in my arsenal.
Back to Pantoja. I mean, he's quietly, in my opinion, cementing, a legacy at flyweight. He's got 3 title wins. That is the second most all time. He does everything, as you pointed out, really good at forward pressure, never been finished. But if you were to pinpoint the Brazilian's best attribute, I mean, where do you go? Is it his chin? Is it his grappling? Is it his just overall toughness? I mean, he's nicknamed the Cannibal for a reason. What do you feel like he does best?
Well, I feel like his cardiovascular base allows him to have this just forward-moving, aggressive, relentless style. But I think his number one attribute is probably his mental toughness, right? His ability to just go to that dark place and the willingness to go to that dark place that not a lot of athletes want to get to. That's why through 30-plus fights, he's never been finished as a mixed martial arts pro. I did find it interesting that Kai Asakura suggested that Pantoja isn't maybe great in any one area. I think his biggest asset is probably his grappling, his control as an MMA skill, right? His ability to take the back and find submissions. But I really just believe it's the total package and the overall relentlessness and mental toughness that sets him apart. He is a true champion with all the championship mettle you would expect from a guy who's already twice defended the title and looks like he could go down alongside Demetrius Johnson as one of this division's all-time greats if he can continue to stack defenses. So he's got a big challenge in front of him this weekend, but Pantoja's the real deal. And to your point, finally getting the shine that he deserves.
Yeah, the division, I guess there seems to be a little bit of discourse about Asakura jumping right into a title shot, of course, making his promotional debut. I really like it. I'm of the opinion that this is a division that needs a little bit of fresh blood before the two Brandons, Moreno and Royval, slug their way back to a title shot, which is where it would seem this division is headed. What is your reaction to Asakura getting that immediate title shot?
Well, there are a lot of circumstances in the fight game. There are calendars that need to be adhered to. There are arenas and all sorts of different implications. Now, UFC 310 was not built around this flyweight championship fight. It was supposed to be Bilal Muhammad's first welterweight title defense. So I have no issue in seeing a former world champion from another organization, a two-time Rizin champion, come to the UFC with 25 pro fights and be afforded this opportunity. But a lot of it just has to do with what has happened divisionally. Amir Albazi loses to Brandon Moreno, right? He was coming himself off a controversial win over Kai Kara-France. You know, Manel Kape has not emerged for one reason or another. And then Brandon Royval beating Kai Asakura's countryman, Tatsuro Tairo, in a recent UFC main event. So I think a lot of fan expectation was that Tairo would have emerged. I have no issue with this. I think it's going to be interesting for people if Kai Asakura wins this fight and wins this fight maybe by knockout, right? Because then what do? I mean, Brandon Royval certainly did enough to earn another opportunity, but maybe Pantoja gets the opportunity at an immediate rematch. So I think if you're a fellow flyweight contender like Brandon Royval, you kind of hope you get a clean result here, and ideally it's Pantoja, because if Asakura wins, that might delay the other contemporaries a year as far as getting a shot at that belt.